brother. That's heresy.
Wait, I can explain.
Welcome to the #1 Dark and Darker Cleric guide on the internet today, as of the second week into early access. My name is NotLikeThis, and I am a top 50 cleric on the current leaderboards in preseason, as I was in the last playtest. I have thousands of hours in Chivalry, Mordhau, and other skill-based first-person melee games. I have a lot of things that I would love to teach you in the future. But today is for you aspiring clerics. So intermediate players, feel free to skip around on the YouTube chapters, and new players, let's get into it right now. Alright, if you're a fairly new player, the first thing I suggest you do is to go to your character details and hover over every single one of these stats to learn what they are and how they affect you. You can also create other characters and see what their stat attributions are on base to see how your stats are different here. And again, you can learn a bit about how these stats scale. The second thing I would do is to add and remove pieces of gear, because you can see how these armor ratings and other stats will affect your build. If you are a brand new cleric with nothing in your bank, the first thing I suggest you do is get rid of that buckler. It's hard to block, good players will drag around it, and this move speed to armor ratio is awful. Move speed in this game is incredibly important. The second choice is up to you. I would remove the pants, even though it sends me at -7, because you will very quickly be finding something to put on to get you over that 0% threshold. Now, two things to keep in mind. Your weapon, no matter what class you are, is very weak when you start out. You can try to replace that if you would like. If you have the cash, you can buy a flanged mace or a morning star. People tend to prefer Morningstar right now, and I do as well, slightly, but they are very similar. Second, the magic staff casts very slowly, so once you start getting some cash, you want to go to the alchemist and buy spellbooks. Right now he does not have any, but when he does, you can stock up on a few, and if you have the bank space, keep them ready to go for if you die. Now, generally speaking, as a cleric, there are two lines of equipment you can take. The first are cloth and leather. These are generally light and have good armor and move speed ratios. And second are heavy plate. Heavy plate will give you maximum protection, but it's quite slow. As for stats, there's so much we could go over here. It just really depends on the type of build that you're running. All attributes and move speed is always good. Magical healing is great for healing. If you need to reach your bigger spells, you don't have enough spell cap, and you should run knowledge. Stacking will make all of your spells stronger. Additional magic damage will make all your offensive spells stronger. Again, we're only a week and a half into this game. There's still a lot for myself and others to learn about what's optimal, and a lot is subject to change. So I don't want to get deep into builds, but I know you're going to ask, so I'll give you one. So here's an example of an unoptimized blue-purple off-tank build. I've still got plenty of magic power, magic healing, and spell memory to cast my spells and do my thing. While also being decently tanky, I've got over 40 resist once you pull out your weapon, but you are paying for this dearly with the 86 move speed, and that goes down when you pull out your weapon or spellbook. But hitting the training dummy here, I can almost hit 100. It's okay. So, this is what I run on 95% of my Teamplay Cleric games. First is kindness. This allows your 8 limited heals to go a little bit further, and it allows you to get topped up as you are healing others because they are more important than you. At least that's how I play Selfless Cleric. Second is protection from evil. I think this one's a little underrated, but it's really good. Getting such high debuff duration and not having all these nasty effects from PvE and players will help you stay alive immensely. Third is advanced healer. This synergizes well with kindness, and it's the whole point of picking your kit, which is to heal people, so why not make your strength even stronger? Fourth is perseverance. I really like this perk. It reduces all damage by 3. It can really help with your survivability. And the last perk to consider is blunt weapon mastery. This makes a noticeable power difference in your damage. If I'm running Teamplay Cleric, most of the time I'm running this. Now, if I'm running a full ranged comp, like Ranger Wiz, then I would consider putting in Blunt Mastery in place of Perseverance. But these 5 perks are the ones that you want to choose from, in my opinion. Now I'm going to cover the subpar perks quickly. Undead Slaying, with one exception, you are not dealing the most damage to monsters or players, so there's no reason to take this. Plus, once you have enough hours in the game, you're not really dying to PvE that much, except in certain situations. Next is Brewmaster. This is pretty situational and flavorful. It's more effective in the early game, getting like 7 to 9 to 11 strength, but in the late game, it's just like wearing a purple pendant. It's not a big difference. And to be very honest with you guys, you already have such a big job with all the buffs and protections and all the junk that you have to throw on your teammates and yourselves pre-fight. And against good players, you usually don't have time to get everything off. So this is just adding another buff that you have to throw in. Plus, again, I'm going to say this many times, you are not a frontliner. You don't need to be taking this. You should be in the back. Next is Holy Aura. A way worse Bard ability. Bard gets 50, now nerfed to 40 each. And yeah, I just wouldn't take this. It's not a big difference. And finally is Requiem. Look, this is just like dropping one big heal on your ally. One perk slot is not worth one spell. It's just not worth. Now Solo Cleric, this is also my build here. For most of the situations, except Goblin Cave, sometimes I will switch in Judgement for the one-on-one PvP. But on Crypts, when you're facing fully geared teams, you're not going to 1v3 any good people, so I just go Holy Purification to clear faster and get out of bad situations. Alright, let me explain some things here about Judgement. Number one, it takes 0.75 seconds to channel it and cast it, right? And you are completely immobile. Easy to headshot. This is a long time of inactivity in high-level play. So, let's imagine your enemy is within 1 to 2 meters, right here or here. Within this time frame, they're going to be able to close distance and strike you. You will trade with them. If they are a frontliner, again, equal skill, equal gear, you will never out-trade a frontliner, so you don't want to do that. Next, let's imagine they're like 3.5 to 4 to 5 meters. If, during this time frame, they move out of the circle, like good players will, your skill will go on cooldown, and you've just wasted this skill. There's no point to take it. No point in wasting all this time and being vulnerable. You could have done your taxes or buffed your friends or done something. There's no point. So, when do I actually like to use Judgement? Number one, we are in a doorway, and maybe there's a door here or a teammate or something. I'm safe. I can poke through and Judgement them. I like that situation. And number two, this is probably the most common. Let's say you've been fighting them here, you've softened them up, and they don't want none of your stuff, they're scared, they need to disengage, they are here and they are disengaging the fight. That is the perfect time to Judgement them for free, and remember they'll be slow just a little bit. That's when I like to Judgement them. Okay, ignore the fact that I'm memeing, the concept remains the same. At first, you want to do damage and soften up your opponent. Slow barbs like this are great targets. Right there would have been a good moment for Judgement. I decided to soften him up a bit more. And right here he starts to disengage and hesitate. That's the time to Judgement. Alright, now that I've spent all that time going over Judgement, honestly, it's situational, and if you're a new player especially, it's a bit finicky. And for everyone, if you want a good, safe, strong ability, I really do recommend you take Holy Purification. This is good at all levels of the game, all maps, doesn't matter if you're solo or in a team, and it's still good in High Roller, and it's pretty good in boss fights. Holy Purification is amazing. It can get you out of some very sticky situations in Inferno and in Normals, in which you would otherwise not even live. So Holy Purification allows you to clear rooms very fast. You can pull all the mobs together, then throw your AoE, and basically kill or very seriously wound all of them. It helps you clear rooms quickly and get through other rooms quickly, which is very good for your party. In this particular situation, we've just killed another party and we've overstayed because of them. It's High Roller. Everyone's kit is worth a lot of money, plus what we're carrying off other people and chests. We're out of time here. There's no more circle. The final red is closing. Like, we have no time. There are not enough blues. We've only got one blue here. We have to find a triple red. This is our only salvation. It's through this door. And what's in the way?
There's a fort right here.
The trifecta of red skellies. The spear, the axe, the greatsword. There's no way we're going to clear this super quickly. Fighters popping second wind. But thank you to Holy Purification. They're all dead. Oh, that's clutch. Once you're wearing magical gear like this, you can one-shot even the red skeletons.
Red down here,
It's
red down
very
here.
good. And thankfully, within the last 2 seconds of the game, we find a triple red, and we all get
Got
out.
one, I'm going in.
So yeah, that prevented an entire team wipe in High Roller.
Get in.
Take Holy Purification, you'll clear rooms faster, you'll save your team. Okay, so I hope I've convinced you to use Holy Purification, possibly Judgement. Let me go over the other 2 skills here. Number 1 is Divine Protection. This only protects you 30% and from physical damage only, and it's only 4 seconds. Let's be honest, if a felling barb or a halberd fighter is going to hit you for over 100 before resistance and they are on top of you, popping this is not going to keep you alive very much at all. It's just not enough of a difference. Finally, we have Smite, 10 magic damage. Well, your attack speed is so incredibly slow, this really doesn't make much of a difference. Alright, now let's go over spells. So, for 95% of my Teamplay games, this is what I'm running. Lesser Heal, Bless, Protection, Holy Light, and Resurrection. Your Lesser Heal and your Holy Light, these are your small and big heals respectively, as I like to call them. This is why you play Cleric. Second, your buffs. These are what you're putting on your teammates. And finally, yourself, depending on the situation. Bless, you know, it's only 9 stats, but, I mean, it's 30 seconds. It's very quick to come back, and it's a very low cost. Your Protection, again, it's very low cost, very quick to cast, very quick to recharge. I really like this one. If you've got a hurt teammate that needs help quickly, it's much faster to throw Protection on them than it is to throw a heal. These take longer. And finally, Resurrection. I really like Resurrection. If you need it, then it's clutch. It comes in super handy. It can change the course of your game in High Roller. If someone dies, you can resurrect right on the spot, because going to resurrect someone in High Roller, where everyone's geared and good, is a bit hard. Now, sometimes with a good comp, with good communication, good players, I will run Earthquake. This is good at anti-aggro comps with like OP Bard infused speed. They're running through the door, their front line's heavy. You throw this down, and it splits the party or hurts the back line if they try to move forward. It's really good, but it's really hard to get off as well. It takes a super long time to charge, and the range is not far. So I understand people not taking it, and even I don't take it super often. Locust Swarm got nerfed pretty heavily. It doesn't really do that much damage anymore, and it's expensive. Sanctuary, honestly, it's like a campfire that does a little damage, and I would rather have a campfire, because let's be honest, you can get spells back, and it doesn't cost a spell slot. Holy Strike, when I'm solo, I'll look something like this. I'll take Divine Strike and Holy Strike. Holy Strike, I know we all have wet dreams of being like, divine offensive spell damage dealer, but it's only 15 damage, and the blind isn't a full 2 seconds. It wears off, and it takes a long time to cast. People can have time to react, or close distance, or run away. Is very slow. And if you're in a team fight, man, you could be doing more important things. As far as Divine Strike, I'll take this on comps where there's a fast damage dealer, so no halberds, no felling axes. I mean like Horseman Act Barb, or like Falchion-ish fighter, or for goofy strats, like a rogue. That's really good. But if you're slow, I don't want to put this on you. It's only 20 seconds, and it's only 5 damage, which doesn't matter when you're hitting over 100. The rest of the spells, Bind, it's only 0.75 seconds. It practically takes that long to charge myself, so what's the point? Cleanse, there's not a lot of really bad CC in the game quite yet, although it is necessary in one of the boss fights. So yeah, this is what I take solo, and this is what I take with a team. Next, I want to teach you 3 different concepts for playing Cleric and how they work. I'm going to show you paint images and the gameplay clips with commentary. So, a basic overview of how Cleric works as I play it. Before the fight, pre-fight, your duty is to buff your teammates, give them protection, make them as powerful as possible before the entry. Then, during the fight, your job is to keep your teammates topped up on both heals and buffs. So, the situation is High Roller, endgame circle, we're the dominant team holding circle, trying to keep everyone out. My fighter makes a call.
Here. They're buffing up.
They're buffing up, so that means there are 3 people about to make entry. Their Cleric and Wizard are buffing them. Our guys are starting to buff themselves. It's now my job to throw on buffs.
Buffing up, buffing up.
So I start with my ranged damage dealer because he's going to hit them first. Then I do my fighter. Then I start protections to keep them protected. And now I do myself.
Protected?
Now Fireball lands. It's my fault. I broke his invis because the fireball was aimed at me. Now it's my job to heal because someone's hurt. Keep them topped
He's
up.
aiming at me, I think.
When you're in the heat of the moment and there's a lot of things going on and you've got nerves and people are trying to dodge, sometimes you will flub heals, you will miss them. It's okay, it'll happen. Just pop another one. Ideally, with more setup time, I would bless myself and then buff my teammates because my buffs would be stronger, but in this case, there was no time. So they're hesitating to make entry. It's because the wizard was channeling a chain lightning. We need to split up and make it not easy. I move to the back and pop my own pot. This is the final thing I do before a fight.
Mage is dead.
Now, Mage is dead. It's a 1v1, 1v1. I think about moving in, but instead I decide to support. You are much better on the back line supporting your team than you are in the front line.
Dead.
Murder.
There's a wizard.
Miss, but it's all good. I know a lot of people would tell you you're an off tank and you can frontline as a cleric, but against equal skill and equal geared players, I'm telling you, you are much better in the back line. Alright, let's go over positioning. In a really basic fight, these are frontliners, these are ranged characters, these are supports. The frontliners are trying to take each other out, the ranged characters are trying to take the supports, or the fighters, or each other out, depending on who's available, and you as the support are always trying to stay within range of your fighter and your ranged character, so that you can always provide assistance to them, either in the case of buffs or heals, or as a last resort, with your own body and mace. As a support, you always want to be in the mid to back line. If you are anywhere towards the front, these guys will notice and they will probably target switch on you. Alright, so this fight begins with us looting the very first room in High Roller. We did not expect a team so quickly. That's why it took me about a second to react. Yeah, they're opening the door. And suddenly they're coming in the door. I've got a rogue charging me down. He could double jump and close the distance very quickly. I need to get back into position because I'm out of position right now. I'm on the front line. I need to get to the back line. So I start protection on myself in case he hits me. I protect my fighter. Then the wizard. I don't have time to bless them. Protection's more important.
You're protecting somebody.
I tried to heal my fighter, but he went down so quickly. He got 2-shot less than 2 seconds. Those of you who are saying wizard is not strong or not playing in high rollers with actual good wizards, you're probably playing with level 10s.
Bro.
What the flanged mace? So our wizard takes him out. I engage the rogue, but he doesn't want to fight.
Yeah.
And then I go onto the cleric to stop him from healing. He's cloth and I'm plate, so I'm slower, but it gives time for my wizard to kill the rogue. And now a wizard versus a solo cleric, there's just no chance. No chance at all. Oh my god, I'm so Julian. Slow. Dude, you insta. I'm gonna resurrect, right? So I pop the resurrect, and that's it. Alright, real quick, I want to give you one more tactic to use in team fights, specifically with heavy frontliners with high damage two-handed weapons like this. And it's to charge your large heal and be ready to use it when necessary. So instead of continuing to buff and protect, I'm just pocketing my fighter here. My wizard's already in the back line doing great damage. It's a great target switch there on the cleric. And right here, the two frontliners are engaging. These guys hit like trucks. They can two-shot even each other, as you can see here. And so for me to drop another heal and negate that one hit, that's giving him another hit in the fight. Now if this continued and these two are fighting without the whiz, I would then switch to lesser heal because it takes much less time to channel and I can keep him up, or protection. But the first one is always the big here.
Need help?
And by the time the fighter's calling for help, he's already healed. That's perfect. That's ideally what you want to do. As a cleric, you have to be dialed into your teammates and anticipate their needs. Alright, brothers and sisters, honestly, I could talk another hour to you about my favorite class, but we're at 20 minutes and this was a lot of work, so we'll call it for now. I have lots of ideas for different types of content in the future, so if you like this and want to see more, please show your love below. The next video will probably be how to dodge every basic enemy in the game. So, stay tuned. Not like this. Out. Hey you. Welcome to my corner. I'm the end credits rogue. Today I have a hard truth for you aspiring clerics. As a cleric, narcissistic, and selfish people. As a cleric, you're the slowest class in the game, and you're the slowest to interact with chests. You're also at the back of the party, and you're usually not the one getting the kills. If your teammates are feeling completely entitled to all the loot from their kills, well, are they considering you as a teammate? Are they considering the fact that you supported them as well? You should be playing with people who care about you like you care about them. Rogue out.